Hello, hello, hello. Just waiting for Facebook. Right. Okay, good evening everybody. My name is Dr. Weeze and I am a overclocker from South Africa. Thanks for tuning in to my live stream. Tonight I'm spending more time with the Maximus IX Apex and the 7700K i7 from Intel. So let's just have a look at what's going on quickly on the bench. I've got everything set up and ready to rock and roll. I am starting a little bit later than normal. And well, I'm not going to make any excuses, just I needed to have a nap before I could stream tonight. I haven't been sleeping very well the last couple of nights, but that's another story. So let's just see, I've got everything set up on the bench already, we're ready to rock and roll. I've got the Maximus IX Apex from ASUS and the ROG team, right? That's our main board. The 7700K from Intel. I'm running the Galax Hall of Fame memory, DDR4 memory. Now, the kit I'm running tonight is not the ones that we've got from the GOC finals in China. I'm actually running one of the kits. So I'm running kit number 56. It's my second kit out of the special bin memory. On the VGA, I've just got a GT730. And I put that into the last slot. So what you might also notice is on the bench I've got another card here. It's running the Serial 80A, and I'll just show you that quickly. It's just a little Serial 80A external card. The reason why I've got that is because I want to get my Windows 7 running quickly, and that has been installed using this additional card. So whenever a new generation of a chipset comes out, I don't have to stress about rebuilding my images from scratch. I can just load them up for the first time on this card, make the changes to the operating system, and then reload using the onboard. So I just need to quickly get that done. What else can I say? Right, so I've got thermal aggressive cryonaught between the chip and the heatsink. Then I've got cryonaught between the heatsink and the beast, which I'm using again now. So the reason why I wasn't using the beast in the last session was because I hadn't cut the connecting rods short enough, and I've done that now, and that's all mounted up, and I'm back to my normal configuration. I think that's about it. Let's get the system powered on and get going. So for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, I do monitor the chat on Twitch only. This broadcast is on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch, but I can only keep my eye on one of the chats, so we monitor the Twitch chat. So please do feel free to jump on and say how's it. I do like interacting with you guys, and I do like a little bit of interaction. So George Storm, thanks for tuning in. How are you doing, bud? Okay, right, so George has already asked a question about, do I reapply between the die and heatsink for each session? Well, if I had a crack or if I had separation, yes. If I don't, then I don't. But it all depends on how well the session went before. So if I had a good session and I got maximum megahertz, I tried to leave it alone for as long as possible. But if I didn't have a great session, then I try and redo all the mounts. Alright, so I just need to check audio is coming through right, video is streaming great. We're getting good upstream, we're getting no drop frames. So yeah, looks like we get green light. Let's switch the view, let's get going. And I think what we're going to start with quickly now is I'm just going to get into Windows, and I'm going to set this Windows 7 up very quickly. Nothing too complicated. I'm not going to fully tweak it. It is a full retail copy of Windows 7 Service Pack 1. I think that is the best operating system for Cinebench. I've also got my Windows XP up and running, and I've got Windows 10 and Windows 8, and everything's ready to rock and roll. So there's no more excuses on operating systems for my sessions. I do need to just create images of them all again once I've finished testing, but for the most part everything's looking great. So I need to I think maybe we should start with a little bit of memory tuning tonight. So we'll get the CPU down to like minus 120 and then see what we can do with this bead dial. I want to try and just hit one of those profiles and then I'll fine tune from there at a later stage. But yeah, let's see how that all goes. So let's just get the chat open there. So Troutman, how you doing, buddy? You've asked a question: do I glaze my pot to avoid Linden frost effect and foster temp control? You know, on VGA I do try and glaze the pot. I do try and get that layer of frost and ice as quick as possible. On CPU, no, I don't really go out of my way to glaze. On Skylake, you were forced to glaze because you needed to bloody heat up and cool down, heat up and cool down once you found your cold bug. So you sort of were forced to glaze with KB Lake. This being my second session, I haven't reached that point yet where I've been forced to glaze. And the last session with the Kingpin pot, we only really need to heat up late in the session. So again, the pot had glazed itself by then. Alright, so to get this all to work, we need to install these drivers. And I think there should be a hotfix as well. I need to force the install with disk. Now this is the first time I'm doing it, so I might look like I'm a little bit lost, but just bear with me if you don't mind. Storage controllers, again for hardware changes. Ethernet, PCI memory, PCI controller, SMB bus. I need to go to view, show hidden devices. No, still not there. I think I might need to be plugged into the other board. It shouldn't have to. I should be able to just get it right. Anyway. Let's just go install. Okay. Install. This method does not. So let's try and do it this way. The worst thing that can happen is I can break this copy of Windows and then I'll just have to rebuild it, but I don't really care for now. The idea is that you've got to go and overwrite the drivers. Well, this is what I've read, of course, you know. Anyway. The funny thing is, when I was rebuilding my images, my Wheeze 17, my customized Windows 7 build that I did a couple of years ago, worked with the new chipset, yet the full retail doesn't. I just thought that was a bit weird. But anyway. So this should give me a 9B blue screen of death when booting. B or 7B, yep, so that's perfect. So now we will disconnect it from the serial 88 controller, connect it to the onboard, and that should work, shanana. Should, of course. I might need to rethink the method I've used for this. I expected it to come up under device manager, but it didn't. Right, so what's news in the world of OC? Okay, so there we go. We're now running off the onboard IDE. The biggest problem I have now is that I've removed the drivers for that other RAID card, so it won't work next time I try and flip it. But what I can just do is just put it back into the Z270, reload that driver, because it'll pick the card up, and then it will be there for future use. Alright, so I see there's some 1080 Ti scores posted today. That's pretty cool. I've been saving money to buy myself one of those. More importantly, what I want to look at is the G-Skill OC World Cup 2017 qualifiers. So those qualifiers are running until the 18th of April. I think there's probably about a week, 2 weeks left of that. Yeah, almost 2 weeks. Or 12 days, shall I say? So it's almost 2 weeks. And what's currently happening on the leaderboard? We got Bob NZ. Good going, Bob. That's looking good. Dark Venom is there in 8th place. The rest don't look like anybody I know, except for Bullshooter coming in 9th place there. Let's have a look at the individual stages. I think we might have some guys sandbagging ever so slightly. So DDR4 frequency, yeah, we got sandbaggers by the looks of it. Bob NZ. Alright, so what next I'm going to do is just install the USB 3. Then I want to install, or at least just update the VGA MIE chipset and be done. So Alex Rowe for the Geekbench 3 multi-core, then Bullshooter, then Razino, Bob NZ. So I think it's going to be quite a nice field of people taking part this year. Bullshooter, Razino, Alex Rowe. Alex Rowe and Ralph would be my favorites at this point in time. And then Splave, if he's taking part, I'm not too sure. I think Alex Rowe. And then of course Extreme Addict, should he decide to pull his socks up and do something there. Okay, so MIE I think needs a hotfix, but now my USB should work. Right. There we go. So drivers, KB Lake, this is good, X-Power, MIE hotfix. Stage 3 is 3D Mark 11 IGP. Bob NZ is currently leading that stage. And stage 4 is Bullshooter SuperPower 32M. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there in the next couple of days. Let's just go back to Twitch. Yeah, look, Splave, I think it's the one event that he really takes part in and does very well in. So what would be interesting to see if there are any Hong Kong players this year. But I think the door has been blocked on their method of taking part, if you know what I mean. Right, so let's just get rid of this horrible thing that keeps coming up. CMD SLMGR/rearm. Okay. SLMGR/rearm. Okay. So that just removes that horrible pain in the arse notification, and then we can go just make this all look pretty, and we can install MIE. Okay. turbo vehicle, and then this operating system is ready. We still need to put some benchmark softwares on. I think Cinebench doesn't really scale with very tight memory, so we don't need to worry about maximum, I don't think. I'll have to check that out, I can't remember. So I actually want to start saving some scores, but I think what we'll do is we'll start with Windows 7. We'll hit the memory profiles once we get down to -120 and see what they do, if they're easy enough. But I mean, there should be there's 4 profiles there, 2 from Freddy Armour, 2 from Dankop. One of them should give average performance if they work. And yeah, let's have a look. Let's just go here, and we want to say capture the PNG. Right, so what I'm just quickly doing is I'm just going to set up all the apps and the shortcuts and all that sort of do-rah. Not a lot to be done for that. And let me just set up our shortcuts. I think there's still benefit in running process/su, right? Real time, yes. We won't worry about that tonight though. And we've got all that installed. It's happy times. Right, so Geekbench 3 is another one that we can run in Windows 7. We need to concentrate more on memory there. GPU power is also Windows 7, R15. The rest of it's all XP32-bit. So what we can do, we can just make sure that this actually runs. And then before we actually get really moving with anything, let's just make sure, actually no, we'll just look at Cinebench tonight and see if we can get the memory tuned, which we didn't manage to do last time. And then that should take about an hour, hour and a half, and then we'll call it a night. Okay. I actually must put a temperature probe in to make sure that the Inferno is working. Cool. Good evening. Thanks for tuning in. How's it going? Alright, so I just want to quickly test to make sure that XP is working. And I think I need to still put CPU-Z on the XPs, which I can do from Windows 7 if we should choose to go that route. Right, so let's have a quick look at the stream stats. Been live now for 21 minutes. We've got 0 drop frames. CPU load on the stream machine is at 13.9%, 30 frames per second, and my KBS per second is 2.174. Very good. Oh yeah, hi. That's hectic, Bert. Any problems with the 2 severe storms? So everything good? Back to normal again? We were using this Windows 7. Okay, so 7B. Okay, so that's not working. That was working. Anyway, I'm confused. Wrong drive. That one needs to still be flashed from this one, I think. Retail Win 7 needs. Okay. Yeah, that's definitely boot device on that 7B. I've got a couple of drives out here which I started doing the prep work on. I did label each one, but some of them weren't 100% set up yet, and I haven't created clones of the actual finished working ones yet. That's still on the card. So I've got 2 XP drives set aside for KB Lake, but one of them was working, one of them is not working. Now both of them aren't working. Anyway, let's not worry about that tonight. I won't be using Windows XP. I was just wanting to sort out my head there, but I think maybe it's working with the serial ATA card. Maybe that's what I was thinking. Anyway, doesn't matter. We are going to look at Windows 7 again tonight, or Windows 7 tonight rather than Windows 10 with Cinebench, and we're going to start off with having a look at the memory profiles once we get everything down to temperature. So again, I'm going to start off with the 5.5 profile, the ROG one. So using the tools that ROG provide, and see how easy it is to actually do something with it. So it's 9 o'clock already here. It's getting a bit late. Right, let's just make sure CPU-Z is working. And we need to create the memtweakit, not memory, turbo recall on the desktop. Right, so that's all hunky dory. Let's go ahead and bring everything down to temperature. Okay, I'm already at minus 93, so not far to go. So I'll just make a note on here. Not working. I'm sure I tested all of these. Okay. Okay, so let's start off with overclocking presets. In fact, wait, I actually think we loaded a profile, Dr. Wee's base, yes. Okay, so Dr. Wee's base is basically the overclocking profile of SLAM's LN2 benchmark. Okay, and then all we did is we adjusted with the advice from who was it? Orion, I think it was. We went and just changed a few of the things in Tweaker's Paradise. He said what that basically does, it gives you some stability as far as your base clock is concerned, so it doesn't jump up and down as much with these settings. So that's the only thing that's really been changed in there. So we'll go ahead and apply that, reboot, get back into Windows. We'll do a quick Cinebench just to make sure that we are stable at that profile. And then I want to come back in and I want to just go and set some of those memory profiles and see, does it load, doesn't it load? Where are we with the base memory profiles? I'm hoping that there's a nice easy 3866 12 12 12 profile or something to that effect there. I do have my second set of the OC Lab memories in the board. So it's not my best kit, but it's not as bad as the kit that we used the last bench. So it should load profiles pretty well. But let's have a look, see. Right, so the temperature is currently minus 122 degrees. I think you can see it on the stream if I put it there like that. I must spend some time on getting the telemetry device up and running again since I changed my Wi-Fi. It has been low on the agenda, but it's quite valuable information for you guys. And then the new telemetry device hopefully will be arriving pretty soonish, and that will actually give you some really good information on the stream. At least you'll be able to see a lot of the information that I currently don't share with you guys. So I'm just laughing because I got a WhatsApp message on my phone, and these idiots that don't know what a hoax is, this information going around. So in Botswana we had an earthquake, 6.2, or earth tremor, or whatever you want to call it, 6.2 magnitude tremor day before yesterday. And of course all these idiots are now jumping on the bandwagon, spreading fake news about the tremors aren't over, be safe and evacuate and do, oh jeez, it's all a big joke. Anyway, alright, so that is not right. Let's just go ahead and reboot. Though it could be because I haven't set max power in Windows. We'll just check it quickly. Fire station is through tunnel by tornado. Yeah, that's hectic, man. Yeah, here in South Africa we don't get a lot of hectic weather and stuff like that. I don't know if I'd cope too well dealing with a tornado. So quite a bit of a scary thought, that. Well, when I say we don't get extreme weather, we do get extreme weather, but it's not a common occurrence. I'm sure. Okay, let's just go into Windows. That still said it was running at 4.2, and I'm pretty sure that I updated this BIOS to 906, but it was still showing as 806. 801. I wonder. Yeah, we get here down in southern tip of Africa, we get quite a few tremors, and about 3 years ago, I was on the 14th floor at a customer when we had a 5.2 tremor. Let me tell you, the local crowd didn't handle that scenario too well. There was quite a bit of panic and running around and jumping into doorways and stuff like that. It was quite funny. I was too slow to realize what was happening, and it was over before I knew what it really was. Yeah, so I'm suspecting it's a second bias chip. Although this one has got here, so load profile, unless I loaded the profile, but I'm sure it said here. Anyway, I might be having an elderly moment. Maybe because I don't have that SVDB set, LN2 mode, it might be off as well. Maybe I didn't load the newer BIOS, but anyway, let's go ahead and just start from scratch. Who cares about the profile, right? LN2 mode is enabled. Yeah, that's all fine, I guess. I think I might just go and load that new BIOS. Screw the profile that we worked on previously. We'll recreate one. Right, so quick bit of criticism. What they could have done on this board is the BIOS LEDs. They're both the same color. They're right next to each other. Could have been an advantage to make one orange, one white, or one red, one orange. It's really been nitpicky though. Okay, we've got a 15 postcode. Top Yo-Yo Ga Best. The live chat is hosted on Twitch. So if you go to twitch.tv/DrWeeze_OC, you should be able to join the chat. I'm guessing you must be there if you're asking the question, right? Where it is hosted. I'm not too sure where in the world it's hosted. I'm currently uploading my stream to Twitch in Paris, and I think it digests, it spreads it right across the globe based on your location. So Twitch has points of presence all over the place, man. Right, so we're just busy with a little bit of admin work, should I say. It's busy updating the ROG chip. So what has happened is I must have updated the one BIOS. It's other, and then I didn't update the other BIOS. So there's two different versions of ROG on the base chips on the board. So as I switch to the second BIOS, now I've got to go update those ROG chips to the right microcode. What I'm going to do now is I'll flash the BIOS on both chips before we continue. And 906 seems to be the BIOS of choice at the moment for the Apex. Hmm, 401, yeah. And then we'll get onto some memory profiles. I'm a little bit nervous embarking on overclocking BDAR on the Apex. Well, I shouldn't say the Apex, I should say on the Z270. I have bad memories of the monumental task it was to find the right BDAR settings on Z170. And the thought of having to go through that task again on Z270, it really gives me cold sweats. But anyway, it is what it is. We must do what we have to do. And let's just have a look here. I should have Apex 801. Okay. So then I must have updated to 801, not 906. I must be having some senior moments. Maybe what I did is I downloaded it, but I never updated it. So let's quickly just go through that process. Alright, so let's go downloads, Apex 906. Right, so yeah, I have downloaded it and I meant to update it, but unfortunately I had a senior moment and I have not updated it. So we'll do that quickly. The reason why I want to update to 906 is because in the thread on HWBot they did talk about having slightly better memory OC using 906. I don't have the full change log, so I can't tell you exactly what it was. But yeah, okay, so we'll go through the process and just update both BIOSes. This is BIOS 2 that I'm on at the moment. Look, it's possible it could help with your potato sticks. I think if you read in the thread on HWBot, the guys were complaining that they couldn't run 2000 or something, and then they were able to run 2100, or I never really know what to believe. A lot of the time. So I do like to do most of the testing myself. Or there's certain people that when you see them submitting scores, you have a look at what BIOS version they're running, and that's normally a good indicator as to what is the most stable at the time. It also gives you a nice indicator of whether the guys are using unreleased BIOSes and have support direct from HQ or not, and then you get to ask the right questions, if you know what I mean, to the right people. So one thing I can say is I'm much happier with the beast back on the Z270. I'm not too sure if it does anything for maximum OC yet, but just the pull down is much better. I found myself going, wow, I'm so cold already earlier. Seems like I'm rambling. I must be tired. Alright, so while we're talking about HWBot, and this thing is taking forever to upload what else is going on. So we got the ROG Showdown 2017 that's been announced as well, kicking off on the 14th of April to the 5th of June. Really nice looking competition. I read the press release. It sounded pretty cool. Only thing that really is disappointing for me, being in South Africa and being part of a fairly small team, is that it is a team-based competition, and there's only one stage that elite overclockers can take part in. So pretty much it rules me out from anything related to the OC Showdown. And I mean, really, it's quite nice prizes. The winning team gets 2 motherboards, a video card, 2 power supplies, 2 sets of memory. I mean, it's quite a nice competition. It's going to be interesting to see how they split all that up between a team. Anyway, that's a team's problem, I suppose, not the HW bots. And you know what? Most valuable player gets quite a nice prize as well. There's an Apex there. Runner-up gets an Apex. I think it's a really, really nice competition. It's going to be good to see some teams getting going again, getting involved again, and building teams. That seems to have dropped away in the last couple of revisions, the focus on being team-orientated. Or maybe it's just because I haven't been involved in a team that I feel that, you know, that the whole thing has changed. What else is going on? Pro OC Cup is going. Actually, what happened in Pro OC? Let's just have a quick look. Pro OC round 152 overclockers. Wowza. Current leaderboard, Gunslinger. Good going. And then a couple of other guys. So I didn't take part in the Pro OC, unfortunately, because it just wasn't the right time. I didn't have time at the beginning of this year to do any OC. So I had to miss stage 1, and I don't know if there's any chance of coming in at later stages. Right, so that's bias 2 done. Let's power off, switch bias, and go through the same process again. So Gunslinger took first place there in the Pro OC. It's a bit disappointing to see that there's very, very few well-known names taking part there, and that's very disappointing. I see Raccoon took part, 16th place. So that's quite a bad showing, I must be honest. It's sad to see. Anyway, let's not get down that road too much. Yeah, alright, so hi, I do read chats, thanks for tuning in. I am benching the Z270 Maximus IX Apex with a 7700K processor. For cooling, I'm using liquid nitrogen and the Diva Power Beasts. The power tonight is delivered by the AX1500i. And yeah, what I'm basically just doing quickly now is updating the BIOS. Then I'm going to go in and load the profile 5.5, do a quick test, back into the BIOS, and then we're going to try and do some memory overclocking and then just run some Cinebench. So this is a fresh installation of Windows. There's still a few things that need to be done, but pretty much should be ready to rock and roll. Right, so the current temperature is minus 95. For everyone that is just tuning in, I do monitor chats, but only on Twitch. So if you are watching on Facebook and you want to come say hi, you can find it on www.twitch.tv/drweeze_OC. No, so this is the second one that I'm testing. The first one did about 6.7 Cinebench R11 in Windows 10. This is now my second chip that I've got in, same VRD, and we're going to see what it does. I've still got 2 more 7700Ks to test after this one, and then I'm going to try and pull some strings and grab a few more, see if we can find something special. Alright, so let's go ahead and just make sure that we can run this before we start playing with too much memory. Now what I did notice on the first chip, that the 1.6 volts that it's set for 5.5 was enough to get me to all the way to like 6.6. So it should be majorly overvolted at the moment, and we might need to just bring that voltage down a bit if it's not going to run off the back foot, but it should run no problem, you know. Okay, so let's go and have a look at these memory profiles. Okay, so I'm still running 801 here. Sure, George, good luck. Have a good session, mate. May the force be strong with you. Right, 2x8 gigs, new Samsung, single-sided. So we've got this profile here, B-die single-sided, 1.8 volts, 4000. Okay, so if we set that, what does it set? Okay, 13, 18, 28, 2. Okay, so we're not interested in that. Hey Jumpo118, thanks for tuning in. How are you doing this evening? Then we got Freddie Yama, 1.93866. 12, 12, 12, 28, low voltage benching profile for Samsung B-die memory. The result depends on your memory stick quality. Some B-die memory is slow to post at these settings, may have trouble. Okay, so 1.9 volts, 12, 12, 12, 444. Okay, I'm really not too sure of all the subs on Z270 yet. RTL is not set at all. So it's really a case of, let's see what this profile does. Okay, VCC, DRAM voltage 1.9, system agent 1.25, so that should be bootable. And let's have a look-see. Alright, so postcode 4F. I'll hit a retry button on that. Hit 4F again. I think 4F you got to wait 30 seconds or something. 4F DRAM training might have to wait a few seconds to pass. Okay. So once again, for those of you that don't know, especially ROG, when they release a new board, they normally give some sort of a guide that outlines everything that you need to know about the new chipset and the common things to look at. So at the back of this guide, they've got a current postcodes, and they've got 4F listed as DRAM training. But now we've stuck on O2, and O2 is not listed on this. So it could be maybe SA voltages or something to that effect. We'll just hit the retry button and see what it does. The other thing we can have a look at is the newer BIOS, the 906. Load the same profile and see what it does there. But this is my first time with trying a little bit of DRAM OC on Z270, so I really am not sure of the postcodes and the processes just yet. Still a bit of a learning curve involved here. Hey Hiwa, how are you doing, buddy? What's happening? Alright, so let's just go through here. We loaded up the profile. The first time we got stuck on 4F, then we trained past 4F, then we got stuck on 02, hit the retry button again, and now we trained past 02, and we've actually trained up. Okay. And let's just see, we should be able to boot Windows. And that's a good starting point. We can then have a look to see how we can get the frequency up at a later stage. Or we can hang while loading Windows. If you want my opinion, I would say 7700K, mate. But then again, I have not tested the new AMD stuff at all, so yeah, I'd stick with Intel. Hiwa, to answer your question, no, I can't make it to Computex this year. And I've already been lucky in past years with a lucky draw, so I'm going to leave it up to somebody else this year. Okay, so that memory is not stable for Windows. Let's just get into the BIOS again. So I'm looking at getting myself a 7350K just to play with, and I might just do 1 or 2 stages, but I'm not going to give it much time and attention. I'll be back for G-Skill next year. It could also be that I need to set maximum with memory this high and tight. I'm not 100% sure. What we can do to test that is just go down to something a little bit more reasonable and see if that boots. Yeah, hopefully next year as well the qualifiers will be a little bit more friendly. The G-Skill OC World Cup qualifiers are tough every year, and this year is no exception. What happened there? Did that blue screen? Okay, fatal system error. Okay, so let's just get into BIOS. There's the advantage of streaming while benching. What I did there quickly was, I didn't see the blue screen on the system that I'm running, so I quickly went and made the stream full screen to catch what actually happened. There's a bit of a delay, so it's quite handy. No, I do OC VGA as well and memory. Pretty much whatever I can get my hands on. But at the moment, I'm still busy going through just playing and learning a little bit of the Z270 CPU OC. I'm holding off. I didn't OC 1080 at all, so I was waiting for the 1080 Ti. So I'm waiting for the non-reference or non-founder edition cards to be available, and then I'll be OCing a whole lot of 1080 Ti as well. Maybe I'll try and get my hands on a Poseidon and do a little bit of water OC. I've got a water tower project that I've been looking to get started, and that might be the perfect opportunity. Right, so what I'm going to do is just go in here, 12 to 1228, and I want to just auto a whole lot of the stuff here. I know not what is required on Z270 and BDAR. This is my first attempt at doing anything, so the profile was not so successful to start off with. Let's just see if we can get not 3866. We're wanting to get 3621. Let's just see if we can get into Windows and then we can move from there. Yeah, no, look, he were to just follow up on my moaning and groaning. The combination's perfect. I think it's a good mix. I think the hardware choices are better than what has happened in previous years. And when I complain that it's tough for a reason. It's because it's good prize money, so it needs to be tough. If I was able to make it to Computex this year, I would have been entering, I would have been taking part, no doubt. What I'm really looking forward to seeing is the finals that are going to be happening in Computex, has that changed at all? Because I think that's where the most amount of work needs to take place. You know what, I want to try, actually let's just try that quickly. They really need to have a profile in here that says clear all. Anyway. 3866, 1.8 volts. Maybe we need to put that up a bit, I'm not too sure. Yeah, yeah, Facebook or YouTube are probably going to be better for you when streaming in South Africa. The problem is that Twitch um, does not have a local server. So when watching on Twitch, you're streaming basically from whichever server they deem is your best server. So it could be Paris or it could be London, could be anywhere around there. Whereas YouTube, I think, might have a local server or might have more bandwidth available to the country. I'm not 100% sure there. But let me know. Um, let me know if YouTube or Facebook is better for you. Maybe I need to look at having some sort of local distribution for the local guy. I don't know. I don't know if it's even possible, but anyway. Okay, well, yeah. I'm looking at my side, and yeah, I'm uploading. I've got no drop frames, so definitely going up to the web is perfect. You might need to look at who your service provider is and what their problems are tonight. Maybe they've got a issue with CCOM or something like that. Okay, so it looks like I was overvolting the memory earlier. So I'm going to need to spend a whole bunch of time really trying to get some of this stuff sorted out by the looks of it. At least 3600 is working, 12, 12, 12, nothing too terribly fancy, but it is a step in the right direction, or it was a step in the right direction. Maybe too cold. I just dropped the temperature down to minus 140 there. I haven't set maximum yet. I'm starting to think maybe I'd need to set maximum. Here, yeah. I was thinking that with the memory not so tight, it should still be fine without maximum, but maybe that's my problem. Oh, look who it is. How are you doing, empty head? Happy birthday for the other day, brother. Hope you had a good one. Fat and happy. Just, I know that feeling. Okay, this is getting a little bit long in the tooth. Yeah. I think so. You know what? No, I really should actually just update this profile as well. Actually, I can just do this now. Alright, so basically, just to cover what Maximum does, it limits the amount of memory which Windows can address. So with running higher and tighter frequencies, you get a little bit of instability when Windows has access to too much memory. If you are confused as to what Maximum, what Hiwa and Empty Head are talking about there. To set Maximum on Windows 7, you can just go to msconfig and you go to boot and you can set maximum memory here. So Hiwa says he normally sets around 1,000 or 1,500 for Windows 7 and 1,000 for Windows 10. Alright, so we can just go ahead and set that, and then you apply it, and then you just reboot, and then Windows will only have access to 1.5 gig of memory rather than the 16 gig. Or it'd have 16 gig, yeah, or 1.5 gig. So where we were having instability earlier, trying to set the memory at high frequencies and booting into Windows, that should be resolved by setting Maximum. And it's a process that you need to memorize, and you need to know how to debug if you plan on taking part in any sort of live competition. Especially one where you are unable to access any notes or profiles, anything to that effect. Because if you run into a problem, or you forget, or you use the wrong method of setting Maximum for operating system, or your normal method doesn't work for the operating system supplied, you can basically throw yourself out of the competition and just go and drink beer somewhere. Right, so I loaded up the profile, got a 55, which is basically memory training, memory issues. For F. Alright, so I want to get cracking with some CPU overclocking. I'm quite interested to see how far this CPU will go in comparison to the last one. So 2 chips, same VID. This one is just of a better batch in theory. This is 639. The first one I tested was 640. So if the batches are true, this one should scale a little bit further, a little bit better. We can hope and dream. Okay. So let's get the temperature down, I think. Let's just start running that CPU. I'm getting bored with the memory clocking. Buildzoid, good evening. How are you doing? Thanks for tuning in. How was your Christmas and festive season? It's been a while since we've seen you around, or I've seen you around at least. Didn't like that. Um, yeah, I think it'd be better with maximum, I'm sure. It did seem to, yeah, definitely better with maximum. Yeah, I was being a full-on idiot there, definitely. Anything over, I suppose, 3400, you'd need maximum, 3200. Anyway, I'm getting old man brain or father brain, whichever one you want to. Whichever one you want to use or blame. Lack of sleep brain. Alright, so let's get this thing rocking. Okay, same process as before. We'll group tune it up and just run. Hold on, why am I crashing when I'm setting multipliers? I did read something about that. PLL internal voltage to 1.9 if you're having problems with lockups when applying ratios. So I'm having lockups when applying ratios. Okay, let's see if that makes a difference, right? Am I okay with you pointing some of my subs your way during AMA today? Am I okay with you pointing some of my subs? Yeah, you look, I'm not quite sure what you're asking there, but sure, go ahead. I have no issues. As long as you're not making me look too silly. I'll do too much of a good job at doing that myself. If you're making me look good, then by all means, go ahead. Alright, so let's see if we have got this working. And like magic. Alright, so there's a prime example of lessons learned at HQ, which has been filtered into the overclocking guide, which fixes the problem straight away. So what was happening is when I was applying my clock ratios, the system was locking up. And in the very first paragraph, the third point, it tells you set internal PLL voltage to 1.095 if you have problems with lockups when applying ratios. Now, if you watched my stream last week, I want to say yesterday, but last week, what I actually did, and I did it on the stream as well. I'll quickly just go across here. So on the thing you printed out, and as you're reading it, you just underline some key points. And when this problem occurred, straight away I remembered that I'd underlined with problems with lockups when applying ratios, underlined with lockups and applying ratios. So it's just a little strategy of how I read these guides and remember certain things. And it's nice to see that it actually fixed the problem straight away. So that's happy days. So let's have a look and see if R15 is running. It should be running. With CPU number 1, I was able to reach 6.6 at 1.6 volts. So let's see if we can do the same with CPU number 2. And what we'll do is every 4 ratios or so, we'll just run a Cinebench just to ensure that we are actually running. I think we might be too hot. And that's locked up, yeah. 101, that's heat or voltage. So we'll just get to full pot now and run with it. Okay, so just checking in on the stream stats, and we've been online for 1 hour 18 minutes. Current CPU load is at 16.6%, 30 frames per second, uploading at 2.1 megabytes per second. 0 drop frames. That's very good. The temperature in the OC lab today is 29 degrees, 28 degrees, 27 degrees, 27.8 degrees. Right, so one thing I didn't install was real temp. The reason why you need real temp is just to make sure that you haven't actually cracked your mount. So if you notice that your temperature starts climbing when you're running at minus 180 degrees, then the chances are, or not the chances are, you have destroyed your mount. And the only way to recover from that is to heat up to, say, minus 60 and then to go cold again, or to completely end the session and start all over again. Right, so I've got positive temperatures there. I think I've destroyed the mount. That sucks. That really does suck. Okay. Well, I don't think we're going to get very far tonight with this processor, to be honest. I think the minute we try and do anything, we're just going to crash out because of those positive temperatures. Yeah. Yeah, so that sucks. Okay, so let's forget about seeing how far the CPU can go. Yeah, you go to 60 degrees and go back again. That is the other way of doing it. I'm just not gonna go there now. I should think about wrapping the stream up in the next 20 to 30 minutes. Baby should be awake in the next 45 minutes or so. So let's just have a look here. Okay, so I've now mounted a probe onto my memory modules. Have a look at the temperature of the sticks. So I'm running full pot, minus 182 degrees, according to my multimeter. And my memory, sitting right next to it with no installation between, is running at 24 degrees. It's fucking awesome. Excuse my language, it's freaking awesome. All right, so what's happening? What's happened? So this evening, just been doing a little bit of a preparation work, having a look at some of the memory overclocking on Z270. Very basically, just starting to feel my way through it. I was about to get going with the CPU just to see how far we could get it, but we've come to the conclusion that the mount is not good on the CPU because I'm running into positive temperatures when running a full pot. So there's a bit of a problem there. So there's two ways to fix it. It's warm up to minus 60 degrees and then go cold again, or just completely end the session and start again. But what I'm going to quickly have a look at now is just do a little bit more memory tuning and seeing if we can have a look. So it's just basically doing a little bit of prodding around tonight. We're not going to get any scores. The CPU is currently running at 5.5, but I won't push it much more than that. Maybe for a little 2-core, 2-thread action, we can maybe do something. But again, I've been streaming for almost an hour and a half now, and I've got to limit my sessions during the week to about an hour and a half to 2 hours at the most. So I'm also thinking about the amount of LN2 versus effort and what we can really achieve. I think there's more value in me just having a prod around at some of the memory settings. And I wonder if we just install Geekbench quickly. We do some Geekbench. Because Geekbench is Windows 7 as well, I think. So the good news is that each little bit of preparation work or a little bit of time or time that we spend with all of this is one step closer to having some good sessions going on. Okay, so we'll just do that. I'm sure you guys can see it anyway, who cares? I used to really worry about that, but who cares, right? Geekbench 4 is out anyway. 3 is going to be a thing of the past pretty soon. Remount, yeah, remount. Alright, so I've just got some messages come through on Messenger. Let's see if there's anything that relates to the stream. Okay. Okay, so that worked. 7200. Okay, so RAID. I don't quite understand that, but I'm sure somebody can explain it to me. Oh, okay, so basically what I'm just doing is I'm just going up. I'm just going up in memory dividers to see where it stops or where it starts giving me errors, and I'll increase the voltages. Then we can then go in and tighten up the timings. What would be interesting to see is if we load, there's 55, okay. So if we load up Freddy Armor profile again with Maximum 7 Windows now, will we actually be able to go into Windows? I think we should be able to. I was being an absolute idiot there. To be DRAM training. So I don't know if that's locked up or if it just waits there for a while. We'll give it some time, right? let's try retry. While we're at it, I just want to check what's happening on Facebook. Haven't been monitoring the stream there at all. That's pretty good for a change. Hello to Facebook, how are you guys doing? Okay, so we locked up on 2B again. Now it could just be that 2B takes 30 minutes or 30 seconds or 60 seconds to finalize the training, or 2B could be that my voltage is too low for the amount of megahertz and timings I'm trying to apply. So it's a process of now going through and figuring it out, of course. So I'm going to just hit the retry button one more time, and I'm going to go and increase the voltage to see if it speeds that process up or if it slows it down or what it does. So I might need to safe mode it, right? Yeah. Let's try a completely different strategy. Well, we're just going to try wrap things up here now. Let's switch the machine off. Okay. And then I'll switch to the 906 bias. And let's just go and try and load the profiles on 906. Okay. I got 0, 0. Right, that's because too cold, raw profile, and SDV, SSV, whatever the jumper's off. We can switch that on and try. That should then bring us back from cold boot, right? Yeah. So what basically happened there, I'm at minus 150 degrees, and I try to load a blank profile that hasn't got voltages set. So obviously I'm in a cold boot. What I did to remove that problem now is I just set the what's it called now? RSVD switch. That would then prevent the cold boot. I then basically get up onto the screen. That would enable me now to go into the BIOS. Okay, I can go into the BIOS. I can set the profile. So what we're going to do is we're going to set overclocking preset. We're going to use SLAM's LN2 benchmarking profile. That's what we used on the other one. We'll then just reboot, go back into the BIOS, and then we're going to go through those memory profiles and see what works and what doesn't work. We've got 4 memory profiles, 2 from Dankop, 2 from Freddy Yama, and let's go through and see what works, what doesn't work. I haven't seen that. We're 2 keyboard, 2 mouse. It might be because of the OC panel, maybe. 2 keyboards, 2 mouse. That is quite funny, yeah. Well spotted there, Troutman. You deserve a prize. Okay, so let's have a look at DRAM voltage. It's auto. What we're going to do is we're just going to go and load up the presets. So 2 by 8 gigs. Let's start with Freddy Yama's 3866 profile. That's the one we tried to load earlier. My memory's temperature is within the good range, so it shouldn't be a problem. And let's have a look. Okay, we got 55 postcode on the first loop. Hit the retry button. Yeah, Jumper. You have to push delete on both keyboards simultaneously in order to get into the BIOS. Wouldn't that just be a kicker? Alright, 24, 79, 96, B2. Okay, so even with maximum set, that profile on my DIMMs at that voltages is a no-go. So it could be the voltage is too much, or it could be the voltage is too little for my sticks. It could also just be the SA voltage, or it could have just been the CPU temperature. Hello, thanks for tuning in. How are you doing? Okay, so this is using the profile, which looks quite decent. Let's go have a look at the important part. Oh, that's no good. 12, 12, 12, 28, 1, 4, 4, 2, 20. Right, and then looks alright. I would take TWCL to 8 if I could. And TWR, I don't like 13. T4 12, I think that's right. So it doesn't look like a terrible profile. There are a couple of things in there that maybe need a little bit of tweaking. And then 48, 49 RTLs is pretty cool. Let's just have a look at, I don't know if it's going to run, to be honest. memory timing configurator, I think it's, yeah. Let's just have a look if that runs. Okay, so that does run. So that's a screen that we're mostly familiar with, or that I'm familiar with. It's the one we use most of the time to cross-reference against other guys. So that's cool. Yeah, it's not too bad. TWCL definitely on my best kit. I can get down to 8 on Z170. That's pretty cool. Okay, so that profile seemed to be alright. Will it run R15? So next I think we'll try the harder profile and see if that runs. I'm always keen to see if the preset profiles that the manufacturer supplies us are compatible with, like, across, you know, some average to good memory chips. I'm pretty sure that the really tight profiles are going to be difficult for like an average set of memory to run. But I'll go ahead and do that type of testing anyway with like my medium kit, my good kit, and go from there. So there's no real big gain here. Let's go ahead and look at Geekbench. The last score we got was 7200 on the memory test. So let's see what we get now. Now that's actually a very good, clever method to get straight into the BIOS without having to push delete. It might be an option for some of those sticky keyboards that don't respond quick enough. Just unplug the SATA cables. Very clever. Trust an old man to come up with a clever solution. Okay, so the memory performance is now 8282, where previously we got 7200. So the memory preset definitely doing some work there. The next one we can have a look at is the Frediyama 32M. And see if that one loads up. I'd like to say good evening to everyone that's just tuning in for the first time or returning visitors. Just to let you know what's happening tonight is I'm just busy having a look at the Maximus IX Apex and the Z270 chipset with the 7700K, i7 700K. I've just got it overclocked on the memory preset that comes, so that's the LN2 SLAM's benchmark profile, which sets at 5.5 at 1.6 volts, which is majorly overvolting the processor for the megahertz. I do not have a good mount, so I can't run any quicker than that at the moment. What I have decided to do though is, while I have the system all nice and cold, let's just go through some of these memory presets that are supplied with the board and give them a test out to see how they work, if my memory is able to run with it. Having a look at some of the settings, because from Z170 to Z270 there are a few changes in the way that you overclock memory. And I just loaded up the Frediyama 2x8 gig BDAR 1.9 volts at 3866, and that did seem to run. I got a nice little boost on my Geekbench 3 score from 72,000 to 82,000. And what we're going to have a look at now is Frediyama BDAR, and that's quite a setting, that one. So let's just have a look at what they have to say here on the profile. It's 121128. This profile is used for SuperPower 32M world record. It's also rumored to get 5G 32M score 5min53. The result depends on your memory sticks. Some BDAR memory is slow posting with this and may have trouble stability in 64-bit OS. Requires LM2 mode, DRAM voltage above 2 volts. So this kit of memory, I honestly don't know if it's going to get up to that speed and that voltage. My better kit of memory does do 4133, but it also was very specific as to the temperature it required to run that frequency, especially for 32M. So in all likelihood, I don't think this profile will load, but we'll give it a try anyway. So we can go through quickly and have a look at what is changed between the two profiles. And right, the first main one is a frequency. So we're jumping from 3866 to 4133. The DRAM voltage is jumping from 1.9 to 1.98. It's then setting a couple of other settings, a couple of sub-timings. And guys, you can go through all of this, and you don't have to actually apply this in order to load it. You can just have a look here, and I'm going to click cancel, make notes as to what was changed, and maybe try and set the timings, etc., without having to go through and run at such a major frequency, so that it's nice that the information is all available, and they do give you some sort of a foundation to start from. Right, so let's see what it does. Right, so I'm running full pot, minus 187 degrees, my multimeter is reading. My memory is sitting at 24.2 degrees. So basically what I've done is I've got a thermal probe that I've just set into the heatsink. It's the same method I used when qualifying for the Galax GOC 2016. So it's the same method I used, and then I had other controls in place to regulate what my memory temperature was, because BDAR is very fussy. You need to have it at the right temperature to get your maximum value out of it. Yeah, so the memory profiles, the overclock of memory profiles is something new from the Z270, and I hope they continue it on to newer generations. The description is something new. It hasn't been there for older memory profiles, and it is nice. It's also nice that they're providing it. I really think it gives guys the tools they need to maximize their OC. So we're stuck on a 26 postcode, and 26 postcode, actually not 26, it's 2B. A 2B profile, 2B postcode. So this is where we were earlier, where we were getting stuck. So we just have to retry, and then I think we're going to have to safe mode going to the BIOS. So I don't think that profile is going to work just straight off the back foot. It's a very tough profile, to be honest. And I think it's voltage related to this set of memory. Alright guys, so I'm looking at coming up to 1 hour 50 minutes. It is currently 10:31 in the evening. I really do need to start thinking about wrapping this up. So we're sitting 49 postcode, 2B, and we're sitting at 2B. So I'll go ahead and safe mode that. And let's go and try the Dancop profile. Okay, so that was that profile, not successful. And we've got Dankop's XTU 2x8 gig speed dial single side. Let's give that a load. The description is 12.11.28 for benching XTU on Samsung B-die memory. The result depends on your memory kit. Wada. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what that one does. We've got the best computers, the greatest computers. Alright, so we're on 2B again. This is now with Dankop's profile. That also looks like it's a no-go. We'll safe mode again, try a different profile. Okay, right, yeah, so what is happening now is it's a bit boring on the capture, waiting for signal, because I'm basically stuck in booting into the BIOS the whole time and waiting for it to train the memory. So, not the best viewing, I must be honest, but viewing nonetheless, right? Oh, lordy, excuse me. Alright, let's try a different one. And let's try Roger. 4133 at 1.4 volts, that's crazy. But it should be possible with the loosest timings in the world. The other profiles, those Dankop profiles, are quite harsh. 4133. Maybe it's just a case of it's taking a long time to boot. It'll take a long time to pass that 2B postcode. I have been doing a little bit of reading, and there are a couple of guys. There are some postcodes that it takes a long time to pass with really tight memory and stuff like that. So I'm not too sure if 2B is the one that takes a long time to pass or not. I'll need to go and actually spend some time with this when it's a little more or a little. But I'm not trying to actually bring some content to the world, I guess. I need to figure it out. Okay, so I'm not going to fight any longer with that. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. So guys, thanks for tuning in. Unfortunately, we weren't able to really accomplish a terrible amount this evening. The bad amount was a real stumbling stone, and it stops the whole session basically in the tracks. What we were able to have a look at is the very beginnings of some B-die overclocking in the OC lab. So Freddie Armour's 3866 profile works. It's a really great starting point. I'll need to now go and have a look at getting it from 3866 to 2000 or to 4000 and to 4133, and having a look at the process that I need to follow in order to get up to that sort of level. That's basically where I am going to go to next. What I need to start doing is actually looking at getting some scores in here. So 3866, get that profile up and running, then look at running maybe 2000 or something around there. For Cinebench, you don't need to really worry too much about memory. And then I want to start getting some scores in. So I know for a fact that I can get 6.7 with the Venom pot on my one chip. I wanted to really test this chip tonight, but we will we'll stack up and test that one tomorrow. I should be online around 8 o'clock, and I think that's about it. I'm going to go ahead and just clear the BIOS, load Optimum defaults, F10, and go for it. One thing I did learn from my last session though is when finishing off an LN2 on the motherboard, you need to disable the RSVD switch, so that your cold boot switch, if you don't disable that after your LN2 session, what happens is you get 00 postcode, so it's pumping up the voltages to enable you to cold boot. Yeah, all in all, I think that's about it. I think what we're going to do is I'm going to go and raid Buildzoid. He's got to ask me, ask me anything Q&A basically session, or Q&A session going on, so I'm going to go ahead and raid that, and then at the same time, what am I going to do? I'm going to host that onto my stream. So guys, if you want to keep following us or keep having a look what's going on here, we're going to host Buildzoid. He's basically doing an Ask Me Anything, so if you've got any questions that I haven't answered for you, or if you've got anything going on there, he should be able to shed some light on anything you might say. So let's go ahead, let's raid him. I need to just get this done. It's my first time. I am a newbie, so I'm going to go ahead and just I don't know what the correct etiquette is. I don't know. So I just go like this. And right, well, before I click enter, until next time, happy benching. Alright, so right. Cheers guys, thanks for tuning in. So that's it, I guess. I'll just kill my mic and carry on.